Thank you so much for clicking the thumbnail and being interested in my work. In this video, I'll be sharing with you my techniques and tips on how I create shadows, skin tones, and clothes with the lettering like badges. And so stick with it right till the end, because I'll be slowing things down here and there so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Right, so this is where we left it in part 1. So now we'll continue firstly with the shadows under the chin. I've slowed the footage down so you can see each pencil as I use it. It's not quite real time, but it's close enough so you can give you an idea of what I'm doing. Basically, I'm using 2 different greens and 2 different reds, yellow ochre and a ultramarine blue. The colours I use are all in the description below, so be sure to check that out at the end of the video. Now in shadow there's all sorts of subtle colours, so you really haven't got to go too dark, you've got to build these subtleties up. And what I did here is actually try and get the overall light of the neck done, get a better idea of how the values lie. So I get the shadow correct, because if that's too dark you'll probably be too light in the shadow. So it's a case of just sort of trying to get a balance of the whole really. But I'm using the pencil to get texture as well, so I'm doing squiggles and different movements. I'm just letting the hand move to where it wants to go. So what I do is just let go of thinking about it and just feel the movements and just let the hand and the movements just happen. Initially we're just using the primary colours and 1 secondary colour, which was the green, which actually neutralises the red and dulls it down. And then what I'll do later is go over then with the richer colours here and there, and then go over the primaries. So it's similar to the other part of the skin, but it's just got to be aware of the value and not to make things too dark. Still try and keep life in there by different subtleties. So just speeding it up a little bit now so it don't make the video too long. So like I said, but I'm just going through with a few richer colours now. Also using the yellow, if I've dulled it down too much, just put a bit of lemon yellow over that and it'll bring it back to life and more vibrance. So it's a case of sort of building these textures up. Best to be aware as well of the reflected light under his chin and not making it too light, because that will unbalance the picture. So I'll work on the principle of 9 values, 4 lights, 4 darks and 1 mid-tone. Now the thing is to be aware of is not to make the lightest dark the same colour as the darkest light or the same shade, and keep the mid-tone separate. So being aware of that, it will keep everything in balance. So you have to be careful not to make it too dark but light enough to show the reflected light. And I've just slowed it down a little now so you can see how I'm getting the texture. And I'm using the rich Caran pencils in there, just using squiggles, different sorts of movements in it. That's going to be the undercolour for the actual glaze, what goes on top. So what I'm doing now is building up different layers. Sometimes I use the white, sometimes I use the rich colours, it depends on what's needed. It's a case of going through it, and then you're just glazing with red, blue and yellow then over the top. If you are getting value with this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Right, continue with the background then. So it's a case of just slapping it in to start with, just getting that sort of tooth filled up. I use grey and then using the primary colours over the top of that to get the colour. So basically going in with the grey, then putting the blue on, then putting the grey over the top, and then trying to smooth it out. I'm using circle movements as well for applying it, so little circle movements, and using my finger a lot now to just smudge in. And it's just a case of just getting a feel for it. Now you see a lot of reference images of Maradona with the fans behind in this sort of colour. So to make it more like clouds, I just smudged it a bit more really, and to make it could be seen as the crowd, or it could be seen as like a heavenly sky. The procedure with the shirt is very similar to the face. You just get an undercoat in there first, so you're just filling the tooth up. I'm using again just red, blue and yellow, just getting a feel for it. I'm just using the ultramarine blue for the blue, and then to actually put the shadow of that, because the complementary of blue is orange, so I'm using orange for a shadow of the blue, or the subtlety of the blue. And sometimes you'll see me here using brown as well when I want a darker shadow, because brown and blue make a nice grey and also black. So just laying everything in position, getting a balance first before you go in with the heavy colour. Rather than going straight in with the black as well, I'm using the dark ultramarine now, just to get the actual shape of the badge and also the wording. So I'm just getting a feel for where things should go before I go in with the black over the top of it. Because if you need to move that around, all it'll do is make a light blue, which is the same as what you're using for the stripe, and there's no problem really with correcting things then. Even if there's a white area there, you can still make that a grey by putting a bit of orange on it and then making it white. I find it's always best to go and sort of use a colour that could easily be changed. So I've gone with a light ultramarine for the lettering at this point, and then using the white then just to shape the letters as well. So it's just using those two, then going over then now, as you see here, with the dark ultramarine. So first going over the light ultramarine, getting that in position first, and then going over the darker ultramarine, and then eventually the black. To get a loose feel to this drawing of the shirt, I just used a more of a sketchy approach to get the texture, circular movements with me white and then glazing over the top. But I wanted to keep this loose so the tension goes onto the face, so I didn't want to put too much detail in the clothes. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. It will mean so much to me, because that would help my channel to grow. Now again, just lightly getting everything in position using the white, and then just an ultramarine blue there. it's just a case of getting a feel for it. I wanted to keep it loose. I don't want to put too much detail in there because I didn't want to throw the eye onto the badge. I wanted everything to go onto the face, all the attention. So it's loose, but it's detailed enough. So it's just getting that balance right. Now the colour of this badge is like a yellowy goldy colour. So what I've done first is actually put the white to get the texture. Then lay the lemon yellow with a burnt sienna type pencil, which creates a lovely gold colour, and then highlight it here and there with white. But you can see I'm using a bit of black on top of that ultramarine to make like a navy colour. The best black to actually use, I feel, is from the Carbothello range, because it's like a blue black and it's really nice to mix with certain colours. It creates a natural shadow, to be fair, not like some blacks. So if you're going to use a black, I'd suggest using the Carbothello one. White is a little bit of yellow as well, even in the light areas. It gives it that sort of sunlight whiteness to it. So it's always good to do that. And it's best to leave your painting as well for about half an hour, then come back and see it with new eyes, or fresh eyes. And then I noticed that the lettering needed to be sorted, needed to be bigger in certain areas, so I've altered that. And then just touched up different areas of the face as well. What I would suggest in these final details is to look for areas that are sharp, got sharp edges, and just soften them, and just keep everything just sharp and detailed around the eyes, and then just leave everything just slightly out of focus a little bit, just so it draws the attention to his energy of his eyes. Here's the finished portrait at the correct angle. Thank you for watching the video right through to the end. If you found value in it and you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it, would help the channel. Leave a comment and a message in the comments below. Let me know what sort of videos you want me to produce. I've actually left a couple of links here for you to click on, and to subscribe, click on the circle here. It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much, take care and be well.